Live from clickorlando.com, this is News 6 at 5:30. This is a News 6 Plus takeover. Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's 4th Estate.
You know, this is a great state where a lot of crazy news happens. And sometimes it's national news and international news. Today, we have a great list for you. And by great, I mean just one of those lists where you think, oh, that happened here. Court cases that you cannot forget. And if you've forgotten them, we're going to remind you. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
Yeah, glad you're with us today. I'm Matt Austin. A lot of people blame Florida for having crazy court cases. Well, one of the reasons our court cases are so popular is because we have a very open state when it comes to open records, and they usually let cameras into the courtroom, and it has caused some of the wildest headlines across the nation. In 2012, a 17-year-old named Trayvon Martin was walking home with a pack of Skittles, and he was followed by a man named George Zimmerman. What happened next became national outrage. This case had so much controversy, it made Central Florida a tinderbox for a moment in time and the focus of the national race debate, as George Zimmerman had followed this young man and some say racially profiled Trayvon Martin at the time. It led to a scuffle between the two men, and George Zimmerman then shot and killed Trayvon Martin.
I mean, I know we had the court case and he was tried and not convicted, but it is still a case that resonates with so many people because it happened 10 years ago, but in some regards, it happened just yesterday.
Like the rest of the cases that we're going to show you today, really, it changed the country. It wasn't just a Florida thing.
Oh.
This changed the entire debate around race.
Now, this case is going to take you back in time because it really started in 1990. We're talking about Terri Schiavo. She was a 26-year-old woman who fell into a coma at the age of 26. And this was in 1990 again. And she was in a coma for 15 years. Her husband, Michael, fought to have her feeding tubes removed because he said that they had discussed that she did not want to live this kind of life. Schiavo's parents said that she had a chance to recover and they wanted to keep her on that life support and feeding tube. And it just caused outrage, not just throughout Central Florida. This happened actually in St. Petersburg, and she was in a nursing home or assisted living facility in Pinellas Park, Florida. And people would hold vigils out there. And when it got to a point where it looked like Michael Schiavo was going to have his will done, because the law in Florida says if you're married, that the person you're married to, your spouse, has the right to make that decision for you. And that's what Michael Schiavo said that he was doing for his wife, Terri. This case just caused so much angst for people because she was not brain dead. And that was the... You know, you get into a lot of
debate too.
That was the debate. Yes. Is she there? Isn't she there? Can she hear us? Can she understand us? Does she even know what's happening? And so finally in 2005, when the feeding tube was removed, it took 13 days for her to die. And people were distraught. And speaking of court cases that you have to get in the Wayback Machine to revisit, this one takes us back to the 1970s. 1974, Ted Bundy is believed to have committed some of the most heinous crimes in this country. He was this infamous serial killer who confessed to killing women in 7 states, Florida being one of them. Matt, the case that became his undoing happened in your old stomping grounds before you were even alive to stomp, Florida State.
That's right.
Sorority, these members of a sorority were killed. They were murdered, dismembered, tortured, and some other things that I won't say out of respect for relatives who may still be around and people who are sensitive to things like this. But from 1974 to 1978, they confirmed that he killed at least 20 people. He confessed to more than 30 murders. And this guy was slick.
When people talk about being scared of other individuals, this is like the person you picture in your brain, okay? He did the worst, most disgusting things. He would use every piece of charm he had to hurt these women, including putting slings on his arm to pretend he was hurt, putting casts on his legs to make himself seem weaker. And he got away
the
with
women
this
to help him
so many times. And then they would catch him, Gigi, and they would be like, well, this guy's so handsome, there's no way he's out killing people.
He escaped by, from what I remember and what I researched, he escaped 3 times after they already had him in custody. This started in the 70s, but he was not executed until almost 1990. I think it was 1989 is when he was executed. It was crazy, and it lasted for such a long time, and people finally could breathe a sigh of relief because by all accounts, he was a monster.
Yeah. And this was one of the first court cases that was publicized
Televised.
on television. You could actually watch Ted Bundy take the stand. And let me tell you, if you want a real YouTube creep show, watch this guy in the courtroom as he just casually is like, oh no, he's like Ryan Gosling up there. Just trying to charm the whole courtroom. As Ginger said, it did not work, and that guy is no longer with us. I want you to envision your child goes missing for 31 days, and you don't report her missing. Of course, I am talking about Casey Anthony. It happened to her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. She disappeared. The grandparents hadn't seen her. Finally, Grandma called 911 and said, my granddaughter's been missing for 31 days. I haven't found her. And my daughter's car smells like a dead body. And then the Casey Anthony drama, maybe one of the most intense court battles in the history of America. It's between this and O.J. Simpson. She was in court every day in front of 40 to 100 million people. This court case really grabbed the entire country's attention, and in the end, she was found not guilty, and people were devastated. Still lives in the state of Florida, by the way, Ginger.
Oh, yeah. We all remember this one because this is very recent. It seems, again, like it just happened yesterday. And it's one of those things, Matt, where if I don't see my cat in the house for 6 hours, I will report my cat missing.
Right.
So can you imagine having a child missing for 31 days? And that's the crux of it, because they brought up her parents, or, why didn't your parents report it? Why didn't you report it? And so many people were implicated in this, and they had their lives and careers just ruined by this case.
Yeah, it was viral really before things went crazy viral at the time. And the characters in this case were just so wild. You had the meter reader. You've got Jose Baez out there who was just, everybody was talking about being kind of a bumbling lawyer at the time, and then he wins, and now he's this famous lawyer who's he's covering stars. He's representing stars now. So what a wild case.
Was it
Zanny the nanny? That's right.
Yeah.
Who turned out to be a person. Yeah, she said the nanny was watching the kid for 31. Just the craziest twists and turns in that case. Thankful it's over, and there's a new documentary about Casey Anthony now where she's supposedly
talking about it too,
telling all. Yeah. So that is one of the reasons we had the idea to talk about the craziest court cases in Florida. If you disagree that these are the craziest court cases, let us know. Send us an email, get in touch with us on social media, and maybe we'll admit that we're wrong. But usually, Ginger, we're right.
From big court cases to a local lawsuit making national headlines, we talked to a local mom about her OnlyFans account and how she says it got her kicked out of her kids' class.